Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin' Mommy, and it's Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, here for my 2023 WIP Parade. This is my annual WIP Parade. WIP stands for Work in Progress. I do mine in September, not the turn of the year, and I don't do a mid-year summer one. Those two seasons of the year are not good for me. So September is better for me, so I do my annual once a year project, show and tell here in September. So my last WIP parade was in September 30th, 2022. And going into this, I was a little discouraged that I felt like I hadn't worked on very much, variety recently. But when I was going back to kind of get all my papers ready for you, I realized the end of last year and the beginning of this year, I have worked on quite a few things that I just don't remember. I'm getting older. My memory is going downhill real quick. So hopefully there will be a good amount of progress here. A lot of these things will hopefully have a before picture. If I don't have a before picture, I'll probably put a little note saying no progress since last time. So hopefully there will be some progress on these things. I also have finishes since last time. So I collected here 13 finishes since my last WIP parade, which is exciting. I don't remember how many I had last time, but there's 13 this time. So let's go through those first, and then I'll launch into the things that are still being worked on. So the first one that I finished since my last WIP parade was Knitting Woman, which is a large golden kite one. I'll put a picture here because it is gifted. My mom received this for her birthday last year. I finished that on November 12th, 2022. And she loves it. She took it to work with her and showed her coworkers. It sits proudly on her end table in the dining room. So she's happy. And I'm happy she's happy. The next one I finished was at the end of the year. I finished two things on this day, actually. Sampler of Stitches by the Drawn Thread on December 30th, 2022. I still have this one in my possession. This is on 30 count custard cream linen, I think. 1/2 with all the called for MPI silks. It was a gift to me, all the supplies and the patterns, and I have since gifted the patterns to someone else. So this was a lot of fun. Each letter is represented by a band of specialty stitches that are start with that letter. So this was a lot of fun to do. I tried to do it all in 2022, and I just barely got it done in the nick of time. So yeah, there's that. There are some cross stitches in here as well, but a lot of specialty stitches. You can still find this pattern on the Drawn Threads website directly. That's the only place I think you can still find it. You can buy the patterns. I think you have to buy them separately, but they do come with whatever, little charms that you need for the different parts. Then also on that day, I finished my Frosted Pumpkin Under the Sea Club, which was the mystery stitch along for 2022. And that's what this one looks like. This was a 25 count blue even weave. I think it was just a mystery even weave. And I subbed out my own colors for their DMC. I believe the watercolor was called for, but I think most everything else was just something I had that looked nice. And I used silk lame braid for the pearls, so that's a little puffy. And I used some Krynic here in the treasure area. You can see it sparkle a little bit. So that was fun. Finished that on December 30th also. Then here in 2023, my first finish was my Chatelaine Winter Wonderland band sampler. Finished this on March 18th, 2023. This is a unique one that you don't see too often. It's not a mandala design. This is on 32 count ice blue Lugana, linen actually. 2/2 for all the cross stitches, and I think I have everything as called for. There were mostly DMCs. There was some, 2017 is the year I started it. all the white is silk lame braid. There's the dark green is like a Gloriana. This is a Dinky Dyes. And 2023, yeah, is the year I finished it, which I put there on the bottom. I used, actually, the only thing that's not called for is the gold sparkly, because I didn't want to place an order just for Petite Treasure braid, which I think is what's called for. And I was at my LNS looking, it's a needle point store, so they don't have exactly everything that we do. They didn't have gold Petite Treasure braid in stock. I think I got the fancy flosses there, but they recommended some accentuate blending filament, so I used 2 strands of that instead. It's not quite the same, but it worked. And then in April, I finished a spring roundels. This is a Barbara Jackson design that was also a gift to me. I did one of them. I decided not to do the other 2 at this moment in time, so I'm calling it done for now. I may pull these out in the future, but for now I'm happy. I got the tulip one finished. It's called for linen. I think it's probably 32 count. 1 strand for everything, because it's called for silks, and then everything is actually a specialty stitch. Even though they take up the space of a cross stitch, they are not cross stitches. Nothing in here is an actual X. There's like slanty stitches and eyelets and roads and different things. So all sorts of fun on that one. Finished that one up in April. Then I finished a letter F fairy, and I'll put a picture in of that here too, because I gifted that to my niece when she graduated high school. That was finished on May 20th, 2023. And so I'm excited about that one being done. And then in June 7th, I finished His Name is Jesus, which is by Joyful Expressions Needleworks. This one is, I did mine on 28 count ivory Lugana, I think. 1/1 full cross with 3 different Victorian Motto sample shop threads. And I was doing this with Desiree, Topsy Turvy Crafter. She finished hers. We finished it on the same day, which was fun. So yeah, that's my finish on that one. Let's see, then we get to High Hopes, also in June 18th. This is a Just Nan chart. I think this is like a 32 count willow green or something thereby. Mostly called for everything. It's all DMCs, except for the white was called for a pearl cotton, and I didn't like how that looked, so I just used 2 strands of regular cotton floss. And it came with the charm in the middle, the birdhouse charm. Very sweet. Lots of details in this one. Got that one done. I had a goal this year to try to finish 1 a month, and except for February and August. And February I failed, but then I finished it in August. And all the other months I focused in and got them finished. So it's exciting. I have a lot of finishes sprinkled throughout the year. So July, my finish was Christmas Elf Fairy, July 28th. And this is on 32 count raw natural silver linen. It's got the sparkle in the fabric. And I did my own color conversion for this, which I intend to share. I just haven't gotten around to it. There's some whisper in here and in her hat. Yeah, and some beads. It's very sparkly and very fun. So I think I would like to frame this and put it here at Christmas time instead of my S during the holiday season. So that will be fun. Most of these don't have a plan to finish. I just enjoyed stitching them. So, but that one I think I do want to get up in the rotation on the wall. So after that, I finished a pillow on August 11th. I finished that for my pastor. That's a joke of sorts, but he loves it and his wife loves it, and they get comments all the time. He just told me on Sunday somebody was over to his house and was like, "Oh, that's the pillow." It's famous now. So that was a fun one I just did for him because he was always talking about the verses in the Bible that are harder to hear. You don't tend to, quote unquote, crochet them on a pillow. So I needed to do that for him. After that, I focused down in August to finish my January focus piece and finally got this one done. This is Flowers Within a Flower on 32 count lamb's wool linen, I think. Lots of layers of stuff. This was from a magazine. Even has some beads in there. Lots of French knots and straight stitches and couching and all the things. This was a labor of love, but I am glad it is finished and that I didn't give up on it. After that, also in August, I finished Flea Market Flowers on August 19th. This is by It's So Emma, and I started this along with the stitch along that they were doing a couple years ago, and I needed it done. This is 25 count vintage cloth in the color Barley, all the called for DMCs, and I think it turned out really nice. I didn't convert this to fancy floss because like here, the subtlety of the change in color from, especially in the pinks, I needed to be able to see the designs, like especially like when there's two pinks together. Trying to find fancy flosses that would work when they're slightly variegated, you wouldn't have seen that contrast. So I went ahead and just stuck with DMCs. Turned out great. And it's cute and done. And then last but not least, I just finished the beginning, I think September 1st, my Year in Stitches by the Victoria Sampler. This is 28 count Dove Gray Monaco, mostly 2/2 full crosses, a little bit of 1/1, and specialty stitches are usually 1 strand. Satin stitches were 2 strands. So I'll show you. These were free on Victoria Sampler's Facebook group 2 years ago, I think, in 2021. And now they're available for sale on their website in the creative designs section, either one at a time or as the whole, all 12 of them. And yeah, they always have some free ones on their Facebook group, but at the end of the year, they take them down and put them in their shop and then have new ones the following year. So if you're interested in trying a Victoria Sampler, just follow them on Facebook and maybe try some of their free ones. And then you'll go down the rabbit hole because there's lots of pretty ones that they have put out. All right, so those are my 13 finishes since the last WIP parade. Okay, so it is now Thursday, September 14th, and I am back to film the second half of my projects, but I also have another finish. So this makes 14 finishes that I had since I filmed on Tuesday. So here is my finish of Purple Pansy, which my version has no purple in it. This is by Carolyn Manning Designs, and it's all back stitching. There's no cross stitches in this at all. I used a sulky pack for all the colors and a color and cotton for the green. And my sulky pack was just pretty colors. It was, I think, just found on Amazon or something, just to try them. And so I decided to use that pack for this. It's actually charted for sulky petites, but different colors. So very pretty. The border chunk stitched up a lot faster than I expected. So I'm very excited that that's done now. Yay! That was my focus for a finish for September. And then I have my list of WIPs, which is 92. Not too bad. I think I was up closer to that scary number of 100 last year. I don't remember exactly, but I'm at 92 right now. Probably by the end of the week, I'll be at 91 because I have something that I'm hoping will finish today. We'll see. So I have it broken down. Everything's alphabetical because that's what I do. So I'm organizing it by categories. And then, so the first category alphabetically is my counted canvas category, which I only have one. So I'll share that one with you. This is Rosetto by Needle Delights Originals. Yeah. And I love this. I probably will eventually have more needlepoint counted canvas things going, but at this point I'm sticking with one at a time. I have another one half kitted up that would be nice to start at some point, and I have my eyes on a few others that I don't own yet. They're so pretty. But since these are on stretcher bars, they're a little bit harder to what do you call it? Store. So I'm okay just having one at a time. So this is my Needle Delights Originals Rosetto, using all the called for colors. Some of them shimmer, as you can see there. I think I've probably worked on this since last time, but I don't know for sure. I would love to work more on this. My local needlepoint store does have some like come in and stitch with us days. So maybe at some point I'll pull this out and go stitch with them, and that'll be an excuse to kind of work on it some more. As you can see, I have drawn on the canvas, so it'll go all the way out to here. It'll have some long bands and several more blocks. I think I'll probably do these blocks first and then the bands. I'm doing it in order, whatever order they tell me to. So yeah, super pretty. Purple, pinks and greens. I like that. And it's fun working with the different materials that you don't usually get to when you're in cross stitching, because they're thicker. Pearl cottons and pearl silks and what do you call it? I don't know. Lots of stuff. And some ribbon things and various braids and such. So that's fun. So because I have so many things, I'm going to do this in chunks. So my next chunk is my Fancy Lady category. So I will go put this stuff away and gather all that and come back and do my next segment. Okay, I'm back with my Smokies in here this time with my 23 projects that are in my Fancy Lady category. This consists of Mirabilias, Lavender and Lace, Joan Elliott, and then one Butternut Road, and one Leisure Arts pamphlet that is cute. Hey, there she is. So we'll do this alphabetical as well. Hey, Smoky. She wants to be a part of it. So we'll start out with Adia, the Garden Fairy by Mirabilia. And a lot of these I started a long time ago, but I just like them so much. So this is on, I think, probably the called for fabric, which is Belfast 32 count Belfast Dirty linen. And I think I may have worked on this a little bit since last time. All of my Fancy Ladies are 2/2. I do not do 1/1 skin unless it is charted, for example in a Teresa Wensler or something. I think there may be occasional Lavender and Lace where that's happened. I don't think I have any of those. I like them the way they are, and I personally don't care for it actually, and it's definitely not worth my time. Other people have other opinions and that's fine, but for me everything's 2/2. Ashley's Roses, I also do 2/2. I think all of these are on 32 count, except for one that's 2. I have 2 that are smaller because they don't have beads, but most of these are 32 because 2/2, because then they're big enough to fit the called for beads. So here's my next one, Ashley's Roses, also by Mirabilia. This one I think is out of print. I've had some of these for decades. This one, I am not yet to the lady, but I am at the top, and I've gotten to both sides, so I'm not sure if that's an improvement over last time or not. And I believe right in the middle is the start of her hand. This is 32 count. I don't have it listed, but probably cream. I think it's called for. So maybe when I get this, I think last time I was working on this, I was trying to color complete some of these colors up here. So this is not complete yet on this side. And then I can move down and work on the lady, which is the fun part. Then I have my Celtic Ladies sampler, which are charts by Lavender and Lace, and I have cropped mine and kind of rearranged them to get all parts of all four on one piece, because I have the Queens by Mirabilia full size. I didn't figure I needed 2 sets of Queens or Fancy Ladies for the season, so I wanted to do a small selection of them with some of the embellishments and the titles. So I have the actual patterns, and I just recharted it to just have those bits, and I think I have done more of this since last time. This is on 32 count lamb's wool linen, I think. 2/2 as called for. All of this is as called for. There are a lot of conversions out there for different colors, but I thought since I'm putting them all together on the same piece, I'll go with the original colors. And I was gifted some of the needle paints. Are they in here? I don't know, I think it might be the purple ones. So there's some that I need to convert to DMC because they don't make needle paint cottons anymore. But some of them I did have, so I'm going to go ahead and use those. Then Cottage Garden Fairy. I believe this is a fairly recent start, like a couple years ago. This is on 32 count Dappled Hollow Lugana, which I think might be Under the Sea Fabrics. So pretty. I don't know if I've done anything since last time on this one, but that's where I'm at now. I like to start in the middle of all of these and move quickly to the top and then fully complete from the top down. But I start in the middle just to maximize my fabric. And that's a gorgeous fabric, so she'll look like she's a fairy in the woods. I thought Dappled Hollow was a great name for a fairy. Okay, then we have Daisy Girl, which is the one from a Leisure Arts chart. I started this, you know, decades ago, and it's called for a 28 count, and I started it on a 32 count, and they called for 3 strands of thread on the 28 count, but because I was doing 32, I guess I was also trying to do the 3 strands. It was bulky, it's complicated. The charting is not easy to follow as well, and so it was a restart not that long ago. So I had these all organized downstairs, but in order to get them up here, I just kind of pulled them all together. So where is this one? This is it. So it is now still on the 32 count. This is like a hand-dyed, probably a personal dye. It's very pale gray green. I have a UFO down here. But this is my restart, and I have a lot done on her head. And I am doing 2 strands, 2/2 only. And so if it calls for, there's some blends that call for 2 strands of one and 1 strand of another, just doing 1 of each. And I have taken a picture of the pattern and put it in my tablet so I can blow it up and like mark on it. And it is going a lot better this time around. So at some point I'll probably need to frog this bottom part. It was the Crafted Studio Mystery Stitch Along that I wasn't into. So I abandoned that and repurposed the fabric. Then I have Edwardian Lady by Joan Elliott. This is my first Joan Elliott, I think. I have another one, but that might have been my first one, actually. My first real Joan Elliott. The other one was like in a magazine. She's pretty. And I think this is her. Yeah, she's on 32 count Fairy Mist Lugana by Fabric Flare. So the back is white. It's a printed fabric. And I just have a start on her hat. So next time I pull this out, I'll be able to work on her hair and face, which will be really fun. I think the hat is pretty much done now. So I just need to work on her now, which is fun. Then I have Enchanted Alphabet by Lavender and Lace, which is one of the two that I have that's not on 32 count. This is on 45 count Society Time linen. And it's because there's no beads in here, so I was able to get away with something smaller. I'm doing this 1/2. And I'm also decided to take the girl out because I like the letters. That's why I was drawn to this. So I'm gonna move the bunny in here, kind of rearrange this middle part a little bit, and just do the letters and the little animals. So, so it'll be done a little quicker. Ooh, I still have a thread on my needle. But here is this one. This is Society Time linen 1/2 on 45 count, which I think is because it's dyed, it's more like a 50 count or closer to that. But so the little stitches by themselves are like a 25 count, but it's 1/2. And it's all DMC, but it has such a pretty flow of colors and it's really fun to work on. So there's that one. I'm not sure if there was a good before and after angle, but I'll make it work. I think I have worked on this since I showed it last. Maybe. I mean, I know I have worked on it not that long ago, but it could have been earlier last September. I don't know. At some point. I worked on it with Dawn, Frosty X Stitch, so I don't remember if that's been since the last WIP parade or not. Foxglove is a brand new one. I started this in April at the Stitching Nanigans retreat with Colette, Highway Stitcher. This is a Nora Corbett, so it is smaller. It's she is the Mirabilia designer, but the Nora Corbett line is smaller. So if you're interested in trying a fancy lady, but you're intimidated by the size of a Mirabilia, try Nora Corbett. So this is a small start on a 32 count blue-gray linen, but I did a bunch of her skin. Like I like to do, I started near the center and worked my way up. So then when I pull this out again, I can work on her hair. And there's one arm and her chest and like her chin. And I think all of her face that is that color. There's some more face that's a darker in the shadows. So, yep, that's my start on that one. So I've got to pull that out again and work on it. I love the colors. They're so bright and cheerful, as you'll see with many of these. I like color. Here we go. And then we have Garden Prelude, which I have just shared in my last update video. This is a full-size Mirabilia, and I've given it 2 days this month, so if you're a regular watcher, you will have seen this recently. But here is where this is at now. This is on 32 count Wedgwood Lugana by Color and Cotton. And I've been working in her hair recently. I will get 2 more days on this here in September, so that'll be fun to keep going on her. Then we have Halloween Fairy, which is a small Nora Corbett that was in the Hirschner's catalog, and you can actually still find it on the Hirschner's website as a PDF download. So that's, I believe, currently the only way you can get this one. There's a couple of them on there that you can buy as PDFs. So it says Trick or Treat right here, but I believe it's somewhere else it's called the Halloween Fairy. So there's another a small Mirabilia that's the same like line of seasonal little pixies that's like my Christmas elf fairy that's actually called a Trick or Treat Fairy, and she has a bag with like for trick or treating. So this one I think is technically the Halloween Fairy, even though it says Trick or Treat. So clear as mud. Let's see, this one, this is it. This is on 32 count Mushroom Slushy Lugana, which is also a fabric flare printed fabric, but it had some nice grungy modeling that made it fun for Halloween. And I got the moon and those sky beads all finished up last time, which was really fun. I think the top is completely finished now, so I can just focus on working on her next time I pull this out. And I believe this will be a bonus stitch in October this year if I can focus on a finished piece. So hopefully I'll get some time on this in October. That'd be fun. So that maybe I can focus on finishing her next year because she's not that big. And there's a lot left down here to do, but overall she's not enormous. So she's a candidate for finishing next year, depending on how much I can get done on her this October. Let's see, what's next? Lady of the Flag, which I have an original from 2001, which we just celebrated 9/11 yesterday. So I found this in an LNS near where I lived back when I was in college. And I just started it, I don't know how many years ago now, but it was more of a recent start. I didn't start it 22 years ago, but I bought it 22 years ago. So this is this is on Stony Point linen by Witchelt. So it's like a gray-green, dark gray-green. And I started at the bottom, or in the middle with the flagpole. That's all there is in there. And then I worked my way up the flagpole. It's see-through, so I'm trying to put my paper behind it. I worked my way up the flagpole and then have been working fully top down. So her head is all the way done. The torch is all the way done. And I believe I finished, yeah, it's even beaded. I finished the blue in the flag. That's all the way done as well. So next time I can work on dress and the red and white stripes. So yeah, that'll be fun. Whenever. I don't know. I don't have plans for when to work on these again, but I like them all. And then Lady of the Mist, another Mirabilia. She's a biggin, but if you do her on 32 count, you can get her on a fat quarter. I think the margins just might be less ideal than some people like, but it was fine for me. Yeah, it's a pretty small border. So if I stitch in hand, so I don't need, overlap for Q-snaps and things. But if you do stitch it that way, you'll need a fat half for her because she is pretty big. Because see, this is my border right here. It's just maybe 1.25 inches. More on the top and bottom, but she is pretty wide. And I think I'm mostly to the other end, but not quite. It probably goes to here. This one called for, this is 32 count light denim linen, which I think is a color and cotton. And it calls for some fancy flosses, which I think I got the pink ones that were a DMC variegated, and this brown one was supposed to be that too, and then my Joann's was out, so I found a fancy floss that Victorian Motto Adobe Adventure, but the other two were the DMC 400 line that's actually called for those, which is kind of fun. So still working up in the top. This one, because it had a border, I went ahead and started on the top. Same with Ashley's Roses, since most of these ladies are just a lady, and so it's easier to start in the middle and work out to make sure you're placed correctly. But the few of them that do have a border that goes up into the top corners, since I like to work from the top down, I'll go ahead and start on the border because it's fairly easy to find the top there. Then we have the letter E fairy, which you would have also recently seen if you're a regular viewer. This is a Nora Corbett. She has letters with fairies and letters with mermaids. So if you like these little ones, that you can find either fairies or mermaids with all the different letters, which is kind of fun. I'm making these for my nieces. I've already made several. As you saw in the finished section, I have one that I finished already this year, and now I'm working on another one. I'm already probably over halfway done on this one. I worked on this yesterday. This is the called for fabric, 32 count water lily linen by Witchelt. So it's also the see-through stuff, but I am doing a color conversion. The last one I did of this was a gold E and a red fairy And this is a browny, like wood, with a purple fairy. And I think she's turning out really lovely. So hopefully I'll get that one finished here before the end of the year, and then I can start the next one. Because I have, for my another niece, I have two that are graduating this spring. Summer, whatever. Where's my, here it is. And then Mayday Merriment, which I got in the Cross Stitch Gold July 2010. It's this one up in the corner. I'll give you a bigger picture. I found this at a, this is by Joan Elliott. I found this at a retreat on the freebie table, and I decided to change it up and use fancy flosses for each of their, for all the colors really. For their hair, 1 floss instead of 3. For each dress, 1 floss instead of 3. So it's a little different than this one. It's not exactly the same as she has charted it, but I'm having fun with it, and it's really pretty. This is on 32 count. Spring Morning Lugana. No, just kidding. Jobelin. Spring Morning Jobelin by Color and Cotton. And here's where this is now. I think recently I did all the skin, which I did do charted called for skin. So it was like 2 or 3, I think 3 different skin tones, DMCs. But everything else is a fancy floss. So this pink is all 1 color, each hair, and the way I'm stitching it, I'll stitch it in the direction I would like the color to flow, so that hopefully it gives it a little bit of the intended charting without actually switching colors. So it's been a fun exercise, and this one's not too big, but I think there's enough left of it that it will not be a focus this coming year. But it'll be fun to work on that again. Nantucket Rose is my next one. This is a lavender and lace, and I'm converting this to be Anne of Avonlea because she looks like the beginning of the second movie, Anne of Avonlea, where she's on the beach writing and all of her papers fly away. That's what this reminds me of, this scene. So I changed her hair to red, and I'm changing the house to be the colors of Green Gables. Because of the color conversion of the house, this is not as far along as I'd like, but that's okay. Here, this is a 32 count silver linen by MCG Textiles. And I love how her red hair turned out. And this is the start of the house. I had more done, I think, but then I ripped it out because I had the green and the white reversed and realized that's not what Green Gables look like. So I went back and fixed it. So now I just need to finish stitching it, finish stitching a lot more. Then we have Once Upon a Time, which is also a this year start. I started this, I don't know. I don't keep track of my start dates. Doesn't really matter anymore. But I did this on the called for fabric, 32 count natural linen, because this background I felt like looked really nice on that fabric as compared to a different one I was considering. So I have started in the center and worked on her face and a little bit of the background. And I think this is a sleeve, maybe. Yeah, that's a sleeve. So a nice little start there. And I really like this one, so that'll be fun to work on again at some point. And Petal Fairy is next. This is also one that I started this year. And I chose to do her on some green fabric. I did a fabric viewer for the first time to pick a color, and green, everything just popped. It's really pretty cream de menthe linen. And it's brighter than showing up, but here's my start in her dress, right in the middle there. So just a little bit of a start. I wonder if that'll help. No, it's a lot brighter. It's a very pretty grass green. So that's a fun start. Not getting the color. Sometimes when people hold it down here, it gets the color, but you just have to see it in person. So tiny start on that one, not a whole lot to show yet. I think I just started that in March. Then we have Roses of Provence. All the rest of these, oh no, not quite. Most of the rest of these are Mirabilias. Roses of Provence. And I really like the fabric this one's on. This is Stonehenge by Color and Cotton. And that's pretty. It's purples and greens. It looked really pretty with this, like she's in a garden. So I may have done more since last time, but I'm not positive. Got her work done in her hair. Then we have Stargazer by Mirabilia. And this is one I've dyed my own fabric because I wanted these stars to show up better. And then I changed her hair to be more like mine, like a light brown, and then changed her coat to be burgundy. This front dress is still the same, but the coat and the ribbons are different. And I'm really happy with how it's turning out. So here's mine. Hand dyed. This was 32 count white linen by MCG Textiles, and I dyed it double dyed with denim RIT. And my own one and only hand dyed experience, and it turned out pretty nice. Yeah, pretty happy with her. And all the beads there on the top, they really pop now. Really happy with that. It's a little hard to work on because the fabric is so dark, and it's a little squishy because it was MCG Textiles and it's hand dyed, but so I don't count very far when I'm doing it, but it does work. Once I get in the groove and get set up, it goes pretty nicely. So that'll be fun to pull out again. I'm making good progress. The whole top is pretty much done, so it'll be nice to be able to work down now. Now I have Summer Queen. Spring and Autumn and Royal Holiday are all finished, and I rotate them on my wall in my study. So I still have summer to do and winter, which you'll see here in a little bit. So, oh, I think this is a parked thread. Don't usually do that. But here is summer. Started in the middle, so it looks a little crazy, and moved up, and I have her face done now. And then this is a string I parked for the back stitching on her face so that I wouldn't have to get that string out again, because she has more neck, and then I'll just keep back stitching it once it's done, once it's filled in. But I think I wanted to get her face back stitched and couldn't be bothered to wait to fill in her neck because I needed to just get that done. I like having their faces done as soon as possible because then there's something really pretty to look at while I'm doing the rest of it. I hear the gardener's coming, so I will hopefully get these last three finished, shared before they get too noisy. And then I can go gather some other things. I'm not sure though. So I have Villa Mirabilia. She's my biggest one. Definitely need a fat half for her. And I believe it's on the called for 32 count Willow Green. It's a little different than the Just Nan stuff, so one of them might be not Willow Green, but this is where she's at. I did start her 2 decades ago, so she's old, and I bought her in an LNS with all the called for everything. Everything's DMC, just a few beads, and she's gorgeous. I like all the different colors. I think we're working on the pot most recently, trying to get the top done so I can move down without feeling guilty. But yeah, that's a big piece of fabric. My only one that I have on a fat half. because I was okay with the margins on Lady of the Mist. She's slightly smaller than Villa Mirabilia. And then we have Winter Queen, the last Mirabilia in the pile. She's a little farther along than Summer Queen. So here she is. Both, oh, I didn't say, Summer Queen and Winter Queen here are done on MCG Textiles linen. This one is a pure white and the other Summer Queen was oyster, a slightly more warm white. But yeah, her whole head and crown area is done and beaded, so that's really fun to see. So now I can just start working down, get more done in her dress. There's a lot of. And then my last one in this fancy lady category is a lavender and lace. My other one that is on not 32 count, this is Winter Rose. And this is on the 46 count Vintage Misty Rain 1/2, because there's no beads in this. So here is this one. This is a candidate to be done sooner than later, probably not next year because there's a lot left, but it's fun that I have the top border finished and I can start in on her now. So that'll be fun. Very tiny, nice little petite stitches that are a little bit like 25 count stitches, only it's on very fine fabric. So those are the 23 fancy ladies I have. I'm trying to think if I'll even have time. I have 35 full coverage pieces, so maybe I will wait and do those another day and do some of my other categories today and then just rearrange them later. So they're still alphabetical for you. That might be what I do. So I will hopefully come back and do a little bit more today if the gardeners aren't too busy, too noisy, and yeah, keep showing you some nice stuff. So here is my full coverage category. It is my largest category, both in number of projects and size of projects. So I got a little carried away in the full coverage arena, but I love them all. And most of them I have no intention of finishing. No, not intention, no expectation of finishing. They're just for the fun of it. There's a few of them, yes, I would like to finish them and have them done, but most of them just for fun, totally for fun. So I don't have a pressure of there's 35 projects here with millions of stitches to do. It doesn't really faze me because the process is what I'm about for most of these. So let's dive in. First one, alphabetically, African Woman with Peonies. I guess I should show you the artwork. These are all done in Pattern Keeper, so I have my handy dandy folder here with the cover pages. This is an Artisy design, African Woman with Peonies 2, and it's nice and small, so I appreciate that. You can see progress pretty quickly. Here we go. So this is on 25 count Prim vintage cloth, 1/1 full cross, I believe. Nope, 2/1 half cross. And this is the whole width of the design. I've gone across the top and done the top couple rows by picking symbols, and we have reached the end. And I think, yeah, like the top 3 rows, or maybe not that one. There's one missing stitch. 2 or 3 rows along the top are finished, but at this point I'll probably go back through and do 10 by 10 blocks picking symbols because it's a little easier to see once you get into the piece. The very top of the design is pretty easy to follow along the whole line of the thing and figure out where you are and which symbol you need to do next, but once you get into it, it's a little easier to see block by block which ones are yet to be finished. So that is a fun one. Then we have Quick Stitch April Fairy. This is on 28 count Rose Monaco, 1/1 full cross. and I am doing this in a very meticulous diagonal parking method, basically one stitch at a time. But it's tricky. I do have a video on my channel explaining it. It makes it so that every stitch is very neat. So it's kind of a fun method for one project. I am too speedy to want to do that on all of them, but it's fun. So far, I'm enjoying it on this piece. It does make it a slower progress, but it's been fun, and the colors in this are really pretty. So. We have Autumn Montage. Oh, I forgot to show you. This is what Quick Stitch April Fairy will look like. This is a Heaven and Earth Designs pattern, and I'm up here in her hair only so far. Autumn Montage is by Pain Free Crafts, and I am doing all 4 montages. They're all started, and artwork by Janet Stever. This one is on 28 count Mushroom Lugana, and that's my starting point. I think I might have started this after my WIP parade last year in like October, November, in the fall. So you will not have seen anything on this yet from last year, but that's a pretty one. Very fall colors in there. And I am doing, you know, picking symbols in the top corner and working my way across. And for all these montages, since they have little blocks and vignettes, I'm kind of keeping myself to a block until that block's finished, and then I'll go to the next one because I like that. Now we have Mini Bear Time Stories by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Randall Spangler. I'm doing this for my son, and I will still be working on this here in September at the end of the month. So we'll see a little bit more, but it probably has had some progress since last time because I am pulling this out roughly once a month. This is on 40 count Vertical, 1/1, half cross, 1/1. I think I slurred my words there. And this is the whole design. It's very small because it's on 40 count, 1/1, and like here's my hand. It's tiny, but it's super sweet. And this is the mini. They do have a larger version, but the detail on this is fine according to the mock-up. So I'm happy with that. And this is a very cute one. Hopefully I'll be able to finish that before he graduates in 6 years, I think. If I do 1,000 stitches a month, I should be able to do it. Mini Bird Song by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Tatiana Fedorova. I have a page that's kind of blown up a little bit more. And I'm doing the mini, and I'm also doing this on 40 count as well. Is this it? Yeah. I think this is the first one I tried, 40 count Vertical 1/1, and I really liked it. I have the first page all finished, and I was parking at one point. I've since stitched in all the parked threads, which is why it's kind of scattered here, and then I went over to work symbols from the top down, so that's why it looks the way it does. But I think this is pretty much the edge, so yeah, super cute. Oh yeah, and here's the start of the bird right there in the middle. You can see there's some white stitches, so they're hard to see, but yeah, it's right there. Need to do some more to get that bird showing up. All right, and then we have Cat Alphabet. I need to remember to show you the picture first. Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Irina Garmashova. And this one is similar to the montages where I'm going to do one block at a time. So I'll just kind of be filling in this first block, and then I'll move over to the A. Here it is. This is on 28 count Ivory Lugana, 1/1 full cross, and I have reached the end of this first block, and I'm kind of picking symbols across the top, working my way down. Super cute. You can see the start of the word cat there. And all the colors. It's so pretty. Lots of pretty colors in this one. And I like that that first block has like all the colors in it. So as you go across, you see, you get to use lots of different ones, which is fun. Keeps it from being boring. And my rolls that I keep stuff in, I have not ever purchased anything for these rolls. A lot of them are like this one is an old wrapping paper tube. And I have a lot that are recycled bags you get fabric in the craft store, or these old cube tubes you get some from the craft store. So that's nothing fancy here. Delightful Waltz is a new one that I just started this month. This is another artisy pattern. It's by Leonid Afremov. And I will put, that's actually this one that I was just demonstrating to you. I will have 2 more days on this here in the month of September, but this is my half of my new start, 2 days worth. This is 40 count linen in Silver Moon by Zweigart, 1/1 half cross. So just a corner start of the colors. It's all like oranges right now, but hopefully eventually I'll get into some greens and blues and pinks and all the things. So that'll be fun. Then we have Elegant Lady with a Bouquet, and this is the mini by Emile Vernon, Heaven and Earth Designs. I have a few of his things, and they're not all Heaven and Earth Designs. I have some from Golden Kite too. Here's this one. This is 25 count vintage cloth in barley, I believe. Yeah. And this is another one where I've kind of worked my way across. I think I've gotten to the other side and I'm kind of coming back to fill in. So you can see the start of her hat there. Yes, this is 1/1 full cross on 25 count barley vintage cloth. So I had finished Quick Stitch Iris a couple years ago, and that was 1/1 on 25 count, and I realized that's the only one I had. 1/1 on 25 count. I have some 2/1 half stitches on 25, and I had a lot of 1/1 on 28 and 2/1 on 28, but nothing 1/1 on 25. And that's a lot of people's favorite. So I thought, well, I need to remedy that. And so this was the project that I started to make sure I had at least 1/1 on 25 count. And I do like it. It's very nice. Empress Eugenie is a big one. I am cropping it a little bit. If it were not cropped, it would definitely be my largest project. This is a Golden Kite, but I'm taking 2 rows of pages off the top and 1 row off the side because I just like the ladies in their dresses. But it is still rather enormous, if I do say so myself. This is on 28 count Dove Gray Monaco, 2/1 half stitches because there are blends in this, so it needs to be 2 strands, but I like the half stitches because it goes faster, and keeping it 28 count is smaller than doing something like 18. So yeah, can start to see the first lady kind of coming in there. Worked my way. I was doing some like fill in the background across the top, and then I also did some in the lady, and I think possibly some of the colors I found up here ended up in the lady. So of course I'm gonna go finish my string down there. But it's possible I could have also just chosen some colors in her to help her stand out some more. A little from column A and a little from column B. Alrighty. The next one is The End of the Ball, which is another Golden Kite. This is a really fun one. I'm stitching this on 24 count Congress cloth. Where is this one? Here it is. 2/1 half stitches as well. I gotta fix my bag. So here is this one. It's a little see-through because it's a canvas. but I like that it's kind of holds its own because the half stitches do warp a little bit, so it's nice that it kind of is stiffer. This is where I'm at with this one. You can start to see the man's face right here, and this is the lady's back of her head as they're dancing, you know, and the flow of the curtains up here. So this is a really pretty one. I'm excited to get into her dress, of course, but I am spending time across the top and then letting myself finish strings in their faces too, just like the last one, so that I can have something fun to look at besides background as I go along. And I have a needle minder that matches. I think somebody gave that to me. That's really fun. And then we have the flower garden. Also by Emile Vernon, but this is another Heaven and Earth Designs. This one was my largest project, but I think another one, or maybe two more, have passed it. I'm not 100% sure which one is my largest at this point. Here it is. So this is 28 count, 2/1 half stitches on rose, 28 count rose Monaco, and just have the top corner going there. Nowhere near where she is yet. There's a lot of background, so I'm just kind of plugging away at that whenever I pull this one out. And they are pretty colors though, so that's fun. Okay, the next one is Friends of the Library. And this is one that was a needlepoint kit, I think by Busilla. And I was struggling with the printed canvas and that it wasn't matching the chart. And the chart was not square by square with a grid like cross stitching, but it was blocky enough that I was able to convert it stitch by stitch plotting. Nothing fancy. It took a long time, but I plotted it into my pattern software and I can now use it in Pattern Keeper. And there is back stitching on this one because it's a kit. It's not meant to be full coverage. So I'm using 18 count Aida, 2/1 half stitches, 2/1 full cross on, 18 count antique white Aida. And I've made it across the top there. And I am picking symbols, you know, left to right, top to bottom in this one as well. Got some books and little bottle thing. There's a little bit of back stitching, not a lot, but some in the cats, some in the lamp. A lot of it is just cross stitching. So that's fun. It goes pretty quickly because they're big blocks of color. I went through the tapestry wool that came in the kit and kind of just went through my DMC box and found colors that looked close, and I'm happy with it. So Quick Stitch Grand Library Romance is next. This is by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is by Amy Stewart. It's a scene from her Grand Library, obviously. The Grand Library pattern that's got a whole bookshelf full of books and genres. And this was one genre's section kind of blown up. So it's a large chart on its own. So it's got more detail than this section would have in the Grand Library section. But this is the part I liked. So this is the part I'm doing. And it's like, 625 by 330 all by its little self. Here it is. So this one is one I'm doing on some 40 count linen. It's a little bit see-through, this Witchelt, but I'm not mad about it. Let's see, what is it? French lace, I think. 40 count French lace linen, and because it's a long skinny piece, kind of like in the future video, you'll see Fairy Tale Town is also rolled up vertically, which is not how I usually do. I usually have a roll horizontally, but this is they're long and skinny pieces, so I figured I'll try rolling it horizontally or vertically, and because my left hand holds it, I'm starting on the far side, the right side, which I usually start in the upper left. So it's a little different, but I'm liking it so far. So this, you can kind of see, and I'm doing it instead of top to bottom, left to right, I'm doing kind of a vertical symbol choosing. And you can kind of see the start of all the little buildings and things here on the side. along this side. So that's fun. I think this was my New Year, New Start here in 2023. Okay, next we have grapes. Grapes 2. It doesn't say 2 on here, but if you go to look online, it'll be grapes 2. This is Golden Kite. This is a small version. They do have a bigger version, but this had plenty of detail for me. And I've made decent progress on this one. So this is one that I could potentially finish within my lifetime if I just focus on it. So this is a 18 count fiddler's cloth, 2/1 full cross. And I do still have some parked threads, so whenever I work on this again, I'll probably try to work those in because I'm not parking anymore. I was parking horizontally, then vertically. I was trying all the things, and it's really pretty. So I have a good amount in there done, and it's kind of scattered because there is a good amount of confetti. So trying to finish the length of thread takes me all over the place. So, but yeah, that's a fun one. I love the colors in that one. At some point, I would like to finish this one. Then we have Hibiscus Fairy, which I worked on a couple times this year, I think. Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Meredith Dillman. And this is a pretty one. It's very big, but the colors are gorgeous, if I do say so myself. I like pinks and burgundies, so this fits the bill. This is 28 count tea-dyed Monaco from like a craft store, so it's a little stiffer. And 1/1 full cross, I believe, for this one. So I made it all the way across, both sides, and you can start to see like even the arch kind of outlined that goes around her. So that's fun. And the gradient of like reds and burgundies is really fun. There's a little bit of the green leaf there. I was originally stitching this, again, typewriter method, along the very tippity top row, but now I'm going to go back and fill in 10 by 10 blocks, choosing symbols in the 10 by 10 blocks, and then stitching them wherever they go. Because once again, like I said before, once I get into a project, it's easier to see where your next symbol will be if you're just looking in the block and then moving to the next block. For me, anyways. Hidden Harbor by Andy Russell. It's another Heaven and Earth Designs. This is the color expansion version, which I think is the closest it comes to max color. It's got 150 colors, which max color is usually like 250 or almost. This was a really pretty one, and I kept seeing it here and there and finally bit the bullet and got it. So this is on, again, it feels like tea-dyed Monaco, craft store tea-dyed Monaco, and this is how far I got. And this one I decided to start with, what is this, 1/1 full cross as well on 28 count. I decided to pick symbols within the 10 by 10 grid starting right at the very beginning. And I'm actually going to take a picture of this piece when each 10 by 10 square is finished to eventually have like a montage of progress, which I think is going to be really fun. So far just in the sky, but some of them, as you can see, some of the colors have kind of skipped along here just to try to use up the string. And yep, they're just carried along there. So yep, that's fun. I hope to pull this out. I think it's either October or November's full coverage focus. So it'll be fun to get that out again. Then we have La Soiree, which is a Golden Kite. And this is another one I'm cropping a row of pages across the top and along this side, because I just like the ladies and I don't want to spend my life in wallpaper. So this is another one that is on 24 count Congress cloth, 2/1 half stitches. And there's a little bit of stitching down here too. So you can see the pattern in the wallpaper, which is fun. That's the start of the first girl's hair, which is also fun. Some of these colors went all the way down here in the wallpaper. So and it goes a little bit over here. It's hard to see at this point because it's very similar to the color of the canvas. I think it's 24 count Congress cloth in ivory. So yeah, that's a fun one. And it always spurs me on when I start to see some of the foreground characters. It makes it a lot more fun to stitch. So I always, if I have a chance to kind of pop over and get something in the foreground, I'll do it because it makes it so much more fun. Mini the Library, Max Colors. And this is Heaven and Earth Designs. Artwork by Auguste something. And this is only 124 colors. So even though it's max colors, probably because the picture itself was a limited color palette, it's not excessive amount of colors. So I went ahead and did that because I don't mind lots of colors. I just used my master set of DMC for all of these. This is 28 count Rose Monaco, 2/1, half cross. And I was picking symbols across the top line there and stitching them in. So I might do that again where I pick symbols until I get the other side just along this top row and then come back and do the 10 by 10 symbol picking after that. This is a pretty one. I want to get back to this. It goes really fast because it's a mini. So it's always fun to see the picture, you know, take shape. So in the minis, that happens a lot quicker. The Love Letter is next. This is by Golden Kite. They do have a smaller version, but with this one, I wanted the bigger version. I liked the detail better in her dress, in the hat, all of it. This one I have, it's not that one. This is 25 count even weave linen something or other that I got somewhere. I don't even know what it is, but 2/1, half cross. And this is where I'm at now. I was filling in pages and then I started to work in the parked threads because I got tired of parked threads. So that's why you can now see the outline of her hat and all of that. So this is kind of, you can see the feather in here is just, I love the detail of that. Not as much going on in the background, but it is fun to start to see the yellow of her hat and like all that feather business. The outline of her hat there, that's how big it will be. So again, with this one, whenever I pull it out again, I'll pick away at those parked threads a little bit more, get those done. Because now that I have Pattern Keeper, I don't need it. I don't need the parking, and I prefer to not have those threads in the way when I'm looking at it. And I'm a cross-country stitcher at heart. I just like to go where the symbols take me. Magic of Christmas by Nadia Strokina. My Heaven and Earth Designs. I think this might be my largest one, but there's another one I started recently that may be bigger. I'll have to double check. It's either this one or Sunny Birds has Past Flower Garden. I think this one has for sure. But she's got a little kitty cat there, which is sweet. There's just a little star on this one. Here it is. I couldn't find it because it was the thing was so big, and this is on 40 count, so I was kind of expecting it to be smaller. Proof it's large, 700 by 625. It's mostly square. This is also 40 count French lace linen, 1/1, half cross. And there's my start. I think I did like 1,000 stitches on my start, and I was gonna work on this in July and then ended up doing other things to try to get a finish on something. So it's the start of like an icicle right there in the window. So not a whole lot of Christmas colors yet. It's still the winter portion of this, but it's pretty. And it'll be fun to get that out again at some point. And it's enormous even on 40 count 1/1. So that's why it is my largest project. The fabric is still big, even though I'd made it 40 count. The Nativity by Donna Gelsinger. This is Heaven Earth Designs. I have the regular version of this. It fit on some craft store fabric I had. So I said, well, there's some sale. And I said, well, if I have fabric in my closet right now that would fit this pattern, I'll buy it. And I did, so I bought it. Here is where this one is. This is 28 count even weave. 2/1 half cross. Yeah. And I did similar with some of my other ones where I worked on the first page parking. Then I filled in my parked threads, which helps me see this first wise man a little bit here. And then now I'm going across the top picking symbols. So it's a little bit of everything on some of these. So that's a fun one. I like the detail in the palm tree that's coming out already. So that's fun. Right away in that first corner, there's something going on. Then we have Norwegian Ship Under Sail by Golden Kite. This is the small version. Had plenty of detail for me. There is a larger one, but there's a lot of background on this one, so I didn't want to be even more so. The ship will have a lot of confetti, but it's going to be pretty. So this is similar to the love letter. This is on the same mystery 25 count white fabric, and it's 2/1 full cross. And I've kind of hop, skipped, and jumped my way across to the other side. Not all of the top row is done yet, but you can see the width of it. You can see a tiny bit of the ship kind of starting there in the middle. And yeah, this will be fun. And get more going on that one. Whenever I start working on these, I just have so much fun. Even if I wasn't originally like excited about a particular one, I pull it out and I start, this picture keeps coming to life and it's just like, oh, this is so much fun. That's why I have 35 of them. Patchwork Quilt Room. This is a quick stitch by Ciro Marchetti, and I'm cropping mine, so mine is even smaller than the quick stitch. There is a larger version this is cropped from, has more of the window, which I didn't need. So I am actually cropping off the top 220 stitches. So I'm just doing this bottom strip. It has the kitty cat and the teapot and the sewing supplies. So that's all I'm doing. This looks like 40 count Vertil 1/1. And even though it is a long and skinny piece, it's very small. So I went ahead and I'm rolling it from the bottom anyways and starting in the top left corner. And you can see the curtain and then the frame of the window and some of the grass outside and the start of the little pot of flowers right there. So it's like, it's all coming together really fast. And I would like to work more on this. Every time, I think I only gave it one day when I started it, and then gave it like one other day another time. And every time I haven't been satisfied with how much I've been able to do on it, but I haven't made time for it any other time. So more time would be great on this one to see a better, more healthy start. Princess of the Sea. I have the mini version of this, but also by Donna Gelsinger, and I printed out a larger one. This too, because their cover picture was so small. This is the toner save mode on my computer, so my printer. So the real one is brighter, as you'll see. This is on 28 count Dove Gray Monaco, 2/1 half stitches, and I believe I have made it over to the side as well. This is one where I think I was stitching cross country like in columns, and then I was like, came over here to her head, and then I was working my way across the side. So a little bit of everything here as well, but you can see those colors are just so pretty, and she is so sweet. So yeah, I like her. Then we have Princess de Broglie. This is by Golden Kite, and this is one that I saw the painting back in like music and art class in college and just loved her dress. So when I saw this was being retired on my birthday a long time ago, I jumped on it. It was like my first Golden Kite purchase, and started it on 18 count. And once Pattern Keeper was developed, they had re-released this. The new version that works with Pattern Keeper was completely different in the charting. And so I decided to restart it. I had done a decent amount, but it was worth it to me to just restart it. So now I'm actually cropping out the top row of pages and the side here so that it's more just her. And I'm doing it now on 28 count mushroom 2/1 half stitches. So it's a lot smaller than it was before. And I'm not quite to the other side, but I'm close. And I've also allowed myself to work in her face every little bit because my old version had a lot of her face done, almost entirely completed. And she looks creepy right now because a lot of the background colors and hair colors are green, and then her face is a lot of yellows. But when it's all put together, she looks amazing. So I wanted to try to do background, yes, but also chip away at her face to get back some of the stuff that I had done before. So, and I like her a lot better now because she's faster with the half stitches, she's smaller, and I have less background to worry about because I'm not afraid to crop things now, to crop out background stuff. All right, the next one is Spring Montage by Janet Stever. So this one up here in the, by Pain Free Crafts as well, up here in the Cherry Blossoms. Summer, Spring. This is on 25 count mushroom Lugana, 28 count, just kidding. 1/1 full cross. You can see my start there on the Cherry Blossoms. This is another one I'm doing symbol picking within this first block, this first section. And I think I have been doing like 10 by 10 squares of symbol picking. So that first top area is all the way done, which is really fun. Now we have my 2 Stitchers patterns. We have Stitchers Retreat, which was a former freebie on the Heaven and Earth Designs website. And this is another one I started originally up in the corner and decided, no, I'm gonna crop it. So I cropped out like 2 rows on the top, 2 rows on the bottom, a row on each side. So I'm just doing this center little vignette of the 2 ladies stitching. I don't need all the background. This is on 28 count rows Monaco, 2/1 half stitches. And I have started in the corner, but I have also jumped around. I was considering doing extreme cross country with this dark color, but decided that was too boring and too far to count in some cases. So I went ahead and, like, this yellow of the lamp was kind of stitched to make sure I was spacing the ladies right. And I've done some of her face, some of her dress, you know, so yeah, that's fun. And then I have the Stitching Shelf Max Colors, also by Amy Stewart. This is, it feels like the biggest piece when I show it because I have parts of all of it started. So I have like a lot of the shelves stitched around. I have little bits of different vignettes all over the place. So I gotta kind of scoot back for this one to show you the whole thing. I may have worked on this a little bit since last time, so I'll have a before picture by itself. I can't do a side-by-side with this one, it's too big. So here is this one. Hopefully, I'm trying to see. Hopefully I can see that. I think I did all the parked threads up here. Those are all stitched in. And I've done little bits of lots of vignettes. You can see a dog there. One of these had a, I don't know. This might be a frog right here. That little patch. Then I have some of the, like the snowman is done down here. Not done, but started. in the winter portion. So I have a little bit of everything done on this one, which is fun so that I have some of the shelves done in between all the seasons. So if I ever want to just go work on a particular season, especially if I'm doing less of this now, but working with prompts, this was a fun one to pull out for a prompt because it has a lot of stuff in it. So you could say, oh, I want to work on something with fire. So then I could go down here and work on the fireplace. And that's how I got a lot of the snowman, because it was like a winter prompt or of some kind. And the dog and the frog and different things. So it's a fun one for that. Next we have Summer Montage, which is my most recent one I've been working on, also by Pain Free Crafts. Working up here in the rows. This one is also 28 count mushroom, Lugana 1/1 full cross. And this one I got a little bit rogue going over the edge of this block, but there were stitches over here that were not over here, and I just couldn't help myself. But in general, I'm trying to stay within the block to finish this block before moving on to the next block, which will be a watermelon, which is kind of fun. So there's the start of the rows. Then we have Sunny Birds, Max Colors. This is a Heaven and Earth Designs by Oleg Gavrilov. And I just love the colors in this one. So, so pretty. This is 700 by 693. Let's go look at the Magic of Christmas. Because that one I think was 700 by something 600s too. Where is it? $700 by 625, 700 by 693. So yeah, this is my official largest WIP at this point. And this one is on 40 count as well. This is 40 count cream linen, 1/1 half cross. So just the tiniest of starts. I won't unroll it all the way because there's not that much to show. But this is the Max Colors version. So there's a lot of already several blues just in this little part, whereas someone else started it and there's just like one color up in the corner. So it's kind of interesting that there's already a significant difference from Max Color and regular. And I love the play of color in Max Colors. So this has 238 colors, but I'm okay with that. I don't mind. And I think this is going to come out a little bit this year, either October or November. I think one of them is Sunny Birds and one of them is Hidden Harbor. And I can't remember which is which, so we'll have to wait and see. That'll be fun to get some more work done on that one. Then we have Three Sisters, which is a golden kite. This one is also by Emil Vernon, and this represents me and my older sister and my younger sister, because we all have different color hair. My hair was a lot blonder as a child. My older sister's was pretty red as a child, and my younger sister has dark brown. So it's really fun. This is a large one of my first golden kites, so I was still doing everything on 18 count because it needs 2 strands. And here is this. There's me. So this is 2/1 full cross on 18 count, white Ada. And I don't know if I've worked on this since last year, but possibly. I was parking in the background and doing extreme cross country within this first girl, whose face covers several pages. So it's fun to kind of put in some background and go put in some more on her at the same time when I have this as a rotation. But she's really big. Lots of confetti in this one. So that's kind of why I've like hopped around into different things. I think this is the first one I started trying parking on. And I liked it for a little while, but again, with Pattern Keeper now, I don't find the need for that. Then we have Visit and Door, which you've seen recently because I worked on this for my son. This is by Country Magic Stitch. on Etsy. That she might have her own website now. I'm not entirely sure. But there's these travel posters for fandom, which is fun. Doing this for my son. And it's this 28 count Dove Gray Monaco, 2/1 half stitches. And trying to work on this at least once a month too, to try to get this done by his high school graduation, which is only 2 years from now. And I think I can do it. If I do 1,000 stitches a month, I can get there. And it's really easy to get 1,000 stitches a month on this one because there's large blocks of color. I believe I started this partly for having a project with few colors. There's only 11 colors. So it's nice and simple. Waterfall in Yosemite by Golden Kite. This is the mini version, but again, I thought it had plenty of detail compared to the larger one, and it's already plenty big since I'm doing it on 18 count as well. 18 count looks like antique white, and I have the first row of pages finished, and now I am going through, and most of the sky, I think the sky is maybe all done. And I'm going through now and like doing symbol choosing 10 by 10 squares to like fill in the rest of it. So you can kind of see the start of some, you know, trees on the horizon of these rocks and all of that. So it's really fun, but it can be a little monotonous at times. So I have gotten burnt out on it a few times, but I still like it and I still want to keep doing it. So it'll come back out eventually. I like color, and that one is a little low on the color scale. Then Winter Montage, which is the last of the montages by Pain Free Crafts, up here in these holly leaves and berries, and I think this is the first one I started. This is on white, 28 count white Lugana, 1/1 full cross, and I have made it to the end of this first block with the holly, and then I'm coming back through and kind of, I think I was picking symbols kind of down to try to get some red in there as well so that I could have something more fun to look at than just the leaves. So that's where that one is. And last but not least, full coverage WIP number 35, The Young Gardener by Art of Stitching. I won this as a free pattern that they had a giveaway one time. And I thought this was sweet because I had a baby girl at the time who's 10 now, but this still reminded me of her. And I'm doing this on 40 count, Vertical 1/1 half cross, so it's tiny. And I have made it to the far side of this pattern too and filling in lots and lots of confetti. But I'm kind of working my way across the top there, picking symbols as well to kind of fill in from the top down. That really helps me tackle the confetti logically, because otherwise sometimes I either avoid it or I struggle knowing which color to pick. So if I just pick the next one, I'm forced to deal with it right away, and I don't have to make a decision about what color to stitch, and it just gets done and filled in, and it works. So that's all of my full coverage. Okay, so here I'm gonna do my full coverage, no background set of pieces. I have 8 of these at the moment. These are pieces that were charted full coverage, but I'm not stitching the background. So either they were charted without the background, like they have a version that's charted without the background, or I did it myself. I have a variety of them in here. So first off, we have Butterfly Max Colors. I will sometimes call this Butterfly Cat because it's clearly a butterfly cat. This is the Heaven and Earth Designs by Kayomi Hirai. And I think this one is charted without the background, which is nice. On 28 count Nessie by Picture This Plus. This is a large piece of fabric because it's a large project, even on 28 count over 1. This is going to be really big, and it's bluer than it's showing up. But there's a start of the ear right there on the top of the kitty cat. So not a whole lot done on this one. There's a lot to go, but it's a more blue-green. It's showing more gray to you, but it's more of a blue-green. and that's fun. Then I have another one that starts with butterfly. Butterfly rose cross. This is a mini, and I am taking the background out myself. This is also by Heaven Art Designs. Artwork by Bridget Ashwood. And this one I am stitching it on a hand dyeing duo fabric. It's like a teal color. I don't think it has a name. 28 count, 1/1 full cross. And that's where I've gotten to. I know I've been working on this a little bit this year, so I should have some progress from last time. And this one's also more blue-green in person. Those colors never quite show up right. Okay, and now my next one is Cherry Kitten by Artisy, and this one was charted no background. There's a version they have that has like puffy clouds behind it. So the fabric I chose has cloud-ish shapes. It's a pole stitches fabric, 28 count Cosmos with purples and bright blue, and I thought it looked really pretty. So here is where this is at now. I am working from the top down, picking my symbols. So this top area is all finished, but quite a bit yet to go on this one, but it's pretty cute. So happy with that. This is another one where I won't have a whole lot of margin on the side, but the fabric was too perfect. So I needed to find something to do on this fabric. And when I saw this pattern, I'm like, there it is. That's what I'll do. Then Crazy Wonderful Owl Family, another Heaven and Art Designs. And this is one, yeah, that they have charted no background. I think you can get both versions. This represents my family and all of our 3 kids and their favorite colors. It's like perfect. Couldn't be more perfect. So this is a 32 count Glacier Lugana, also by Picture This Plus. Not too bad of a color. It is, again, more warm in person, but I have top down with this one. So his ears and head are pretty well underway there. The purple, I think, is all done. 28 count 1/1. I think all of these are 28 count 1/1 at this point that I've shown so far. So yeah, full crosses. Just have Pop Owl because he was the tallest. I'm doing the whole, leaving a lot of the background showing because that's what this looks like. So I could maybe frame it with that much background. And it's wide, so I just went ahead and plopped it there in the center. So it will look a lot like the cover, and it will show this pretty fabric. So eventually I can do some of the Mama Owl's head, which is me, but still a lot more Papa left to go before I get there if I'm working from the top down. Then I have Cupcake Dreams, which was a freebie on the Tilton Crafts website, and I don't think you can find it right now. You could maybe email them and ask if they could give it to you. But I wanted to finish this sooner than later, so this one has gotten a lot of work this year. This is on a 32 count Mint Jubilee even weave. Hard to see that it's green, but yeah, it's a light green, and I've done quite a bit on it this year in hopes of finishing it soon. Maybe a goal to finish this next year, we'll see. There's a lot of solid stitching here in the cupcake, more confetti, but like organized confetti in the rest of it. So yeah, and I am picking symbols. Actually, at one point I was doing it from the top down, and then this year I started to do it where I sorted the colors in Pattern Keeper and was doing the smallest to, I think I did a large color, which included this pink so that I could get more structure. And then I've been doing smallest to biggest, number of stitches remaining. And so I've ticked off a whole bunch of colors that are now done, which is really fun. So that's what I've been doing the last couple times I worked on this, is color completing. Then Harmony, which is a freebie on the Heaven and Earth Designs website. It might still be up there as of this filming. It's the parrot, and I'm not doing the background, I'm just doing the parrot. This is Color and Cotton Holiday Mint, Lugana. And it's very bright. Even brighter, more neon than it's showing. But this is my start on the parrot's head. This one I'm just taking the background out myself. And it's fairly easy to figure out because it's such an obvious subject. There's like a white outline, and so I am stitching that, and that kind of helps me know where the parrot starts. So that'll be fun to pull out again at some point. I don't know when. Then these next two are on 40 count, 1/1, half cross. This first one is Simpsons, which is something I got on eBay. No longer available there, but I'm stitching this for my husband. It's a secret. And I'm not stitching this outside part that was solid white, or this inside part, which is solid white. I'm just not doing that. I will stitch his shirt, which is mostly solid white, and this paper, which is like a combination of 3 or 4 grays and tans and whites and all the things, but not the solid bits. So this is 40 count Vertical, 1/1, half cross, and that's where I've gotten to. I do like to work on this at least once a month to get a little bit done on it, and I'm probably going to give it like 5 days in October, because this will be my full coverage, no background in October, plus 1 family day. So hopefully I'll see a nice push forward on this. I have a lot of the top is all the way done, because I was picking symbols from the top down. So yeah, hopefully I can get some good traction on this to get it done sooner than later. And then my last full coverage, no background, is Tea and Books, which is another Bridget Ashwood piece. And I'm taking the background out of this one as well. And it's fairly easy to do, except for that steam at the top. Everything has a pretty crisp back outline. I think you can now buy this without the background. They also have a mini version. This is Silk Weaver, 40 count Verdal in Days Gone By. So it's a nice splotchy piece, and you can barely see it, but there's my steam and the top of the cup. And over here is the top of the handle and a little bit of the butterfly. This is actually slated to come out this month, 4 days. I have not worked on it yet though, so this should see some nice progress here before my next WIP parade, where I'll be able to put in, get a little bit more going. Can see what's going on, maybe get some of that butterfly finished and the top of the cup. So when I hold it up, and you can actually see there's something on this splotchy fabric than just the fabric. So that will be nice. All right, I have a little bit more time. I might be able to do one more category before I have to go pick up my son. So I will do that. That's all the full coverage, no background. This has been fun. I am glad I'm doing this. So stay tuned for the next category. Now for my other category, this has 14 projects in it. And these are things that just whatever. Some of them might fall into, like one of them might fall into Fancy Ladies. A couple of them might be able to, but it's just, actually there's only 13 because the Purple Pansy I finished on Tuesday was in this category. So there's now 14 finishes and 13 in this category instead of the other way around. So the first one is Advent Animals. This is a freebie on Brooks Books website. And I have been focusing on trying to finish these this year. So I have quite a few that will have a before and after of now a finish. So I think I'll go through all my finished ones first, and then I'll show the ones that I'm still working on. So last night I actually fully finished Katie Kitty. So this was a finish before, but I fully finish her. Now this is how I will be stitching them. It's actually stitched, the border is stitched on a 3x5 card. I've hole punched it and I have a frame with some hooks, some rings, so that I can flip these, and my kids can flip them during Christmas. So I think this is gonna work really well. It's nice and simple. And I am starting to do Peter Polar Bear. This is a needle minder to hold it in place while I'm stitching it. These were done before, so you won't have a before picture anyways. Here is, let's see. Here we have Mary Mouse. I'm not sure which of these necessarily was finished before, so I'll hold them up long enough to have a before picture just in case. Duncan Dog, I know this is new, I just finished him. These are all on 18 count light blue Aida, 2/1 full cross with called for DMCs, Hattie Hedgehog, Pierre Penguin, Pearly Pig, I think, Kenny Kangaroo, and he has sand instead of snow because he's in Australia, which is clever. Sheila Sheep, Sophie Squirrel, and these are super cute. I really had fun with these. Colin Cardinal, I think this is an older one that I finished last year. Cassie Cow, Remy Rabbit, Larry Lion, finished this in the airplane, coming home from Washington, D.C. Odette Owl, Ethan Elephant, Deborah Donkey, and Rudolph Reindeer. So I'm kind of impressed with myself that I could remember all their names. So now I'm going to show the ones that I am still working on next to their finished picture, because most of them you can't tell what they... So here is Hamilton Horse, and this one will have a before because I am currently working on this one. This one has 3 days of trowel stitching since I showed you in my update video. So these ones I know will not have any progress, so I'll just go ahead and show you next to. Here's Cashmere Camel. Let's do it right here. Cashmere Camel. Fitzwilliam Frog. Rascal Raccoon. It's really hard to hold up. Gigi Giraffe. Ping Panda. And Alistair Alligator. So there should be like 7 there, including Hamilton Horse, that are still yet to be finished, but the goal is to finish them before the end of the year, the calendar year. So next year you should have the entire enchilada finished up, which is exciting. Okay, next we have Antique Shoe Collection, which is one of my oldest WIPs. I tried to work on this kind of as a cut it into 12 parts and finish a part a month, but I just ran out of time in my rotation to work on this. So I have progress from last time, but definitely not as much as I'd wanted. Yeah, I need to figure out a place to put this because I do want it done. It can't be, it's hard to make it a travel piece because it's just a little bit too wide to tuck into anything. It is 14 count, so it is nice for that. Maybe it could be like, I don't know. So here is this one, probably antique white, Ada 14 count. It's on Kit Everything. I started this in high school, I think. Probably 25 years old. This top shelf is pretty much done, except for like the bottom part of this border. I finished the top border. It actually still needs some backstitching. So there's a line of backstitching right here that does help make it crisp, just like everything else is backstitched. So I probably will go ahead and do that, but it just takes a long time. Yeah, so there's that. Then I have Blackwork Flower with Butterflies, which is by Leslie Tier. And I got this on her website. So this is blackwork. Like my purple pansy was just backstitching. This is blackwork where they have different thicknesses of backstitching. They have a pattern filling in the area. And then these butterflies are cross-stitched, which is fun. I'm using my own color conversion for this one. And I haven't worked on this recently, I don't think, but I do enjoy it. I should try to pull it out again soon. This is on a 28 count even weave. I think the Artiste brand from Hobby Lobby. 2/2 full cross for the cross stitches, and then the back stitching is mostly 1 strand. There's some, like the edges around the petals are 3 strands, I think. So yeah, it's really pretty. And there's some gold petite treasure braid in the butterfly and the border and stuff, so that's fun. And then black is just 310, and then all the colors I was using the hand-dyed threads that I had pulled from my stash just for a little movement and fun. Use up those colors. Then we have Castle Homecoming Club, which is the current Frosted Pumpkin yearly stitch along, mystery stitch along. I showed in my finishes that I finished the Under the Sea Club last year. So here's this one, what's out right now. I think the 5th part will come out in like 15 minutes. So before this is posted, there will be another part out. I have finished part 1 and I'm working on part 2. Part 2 is this wizard, and all the bridge, which I have not yet done. And then part 3 was the dragon and the little knight roasting his marshmallows. And then part 4 was Nessie and the frog prince and all the grass and water. So part 5, I don't know where it's going to be right off the top of my head, but anyways. I'm doing mine really small. This is 28 count Ice Blue Lugana, 1/1 full cross with the called for, just kidding, none of the called for, with my own color conversion fancy floss from my stash that I thought matched the DMC pretty closely. So it's a conversion that's like similar. A stash buster conversion. Okay, then we have Chaplin's Garden, which is a very old kit as well. I think I was gifted this in high school, and I maybe started it then too. It's a little newer than Antique Shoe Collection, but not by much. It's a Marty Bell, I believe. There was just so much confetti and full coverageness in here as a paper pattern that it was, and I didn't used to highlight my charts, so it was a struggle, and I just kind of let it go, and there's a million colors. So since I found Flosstube, I think, and I realized that it's a commonplace thing to highlight your chart, I started to do that, and it really worked a lot better. So I have put a tiny bit of work into this since high school, but not much. Most of this was done way back when. This is 14 count Ada in light blue with all the everything is from the kit. And I had pretty much all of this done earlier and then I started to come back up here and did some of this and maybe some of this up here. Trying to do from the top down. I don't think I've worked on this since last year, but it's got a lot of colors and I was trying to fill in, you know, things from the top down like I do, which kind of forces you to tackle the more boring bits because I started right in the middle with the house. That is a fun bit. It's also easy to count to when you're working with the kit. Next we have Christmas Sweater Cat, which is by Stitch with Coffee. Let's see, where's the cover? This is a little like impulse start that I had last year. Here's the cover. I saw it on Instagram and I'm like, oh, that's so cute. I need to do that for my mom because her name is Joy and she loves cats and knitting. So I needed to do that. And I had grand plans to finish it for her for Christmas last year, but I was also trying to finish Knitting Woman for her birthday, and that definitely took precedent. So this got put on the back burner and I will focus to finish this November so that hopefully I can give it to her as an ornament this Christmas. And I'm not going to stitch this strip down here. I don't really like that. So that's the only thing I will be changing. Everything is pretty much as called for, except I think, well, they are calling for some etoile. So I have etoile and DMC and it's very fun. So there's some sparkle going on here. This looks like 28 count, or maybe the 25 count prim or 28 count mushroom. I'm not exactly sure, but this is my start. Kind of feels like prim, the 25 count. A little kitty. And so I am adjusting things slightly because it is 25 count. The Joy is Whisper and Sweater is in a toile. You can kind of see some sparkle. I think the Joy was supposed to be beads, but because it's on 25 count, I went ahead and used Whisper instead. So then it can have a little bit of puffiness, but not try to fit beads in there because I don't think even petite beads would have been too full, I think, for 25 count, 1/1. So hopefully I'll get that finished here in November and I can give that to her for Christmas. Then we have Colors of the Seasons 2. There's by Serenita de Campagna. There's the first Colors of the Seasons doesn't have the little girls in it. It just has seasonal things, and that's pretty too, but I like the little girls. Kind of remind me of Sunbonnet Sue, and so because you don't see any of their faces and they have these little bonnets. So this is one I will be working on this month, but I have yet to work on it. It's on my bingo board for this month, but it hasn't been called yet. So there's no progress since my update video a few weeks ago. So this is where this is at now. Winter and autumn are finished, which I may not have had winter done last year, so that could be new. I'll put it here. And I started the wee tiniest start on summer, probably also last year, up here. So that's water and sand at the beach in the summer one. So this is 27 count Linda in Vintage Country Mocha, 2/2 full cross. And yeah, super cute. I love the colors. They're super vibrant and they totally work. So I'll be adjusting mine a little bit to take out these words and hearts because I screwed it up. And now it's just a headache to try to calculate it, and I don't want to rip things out any more than I have to. So I'm just going to stop, not do that part and somehow fully finish it to where I might cut them apart and sew them together or something. Anyways, we'll see. What's next? Dragon Ride, which you guys saw recently. This is by Teresa Wentzler. And I got mine on Patterns Online several years ago, but I looked it up recently. You can also find this in Stitcher's World from September 1999, if you can find that old pattern. The old magazine, I mean. So I recently have been stitching on this a lot more. I gave it several extra days here in August, and so I have finished all the stitches in the dragon itself, which is super fun. This is on 28 count MCG Textiles even weave, 2/2 full cross for most of it. The man is charted 1/1, and there will be still a lot of back stitching left to go. The man and the saddle area are not yet stitched, and there's some ground, and obviously the rest of the border. So still more to go, but this has definitely made a lot of progress recently, so that's exciting. And the colors are very pretty. Fairy Tale Town is one that you can find, let's see, where is it? By Abris Art. This is a Ukrainian kit. I'm stitching mine on my own fabric, so it's really tiny because this is extremely long. So I think the kit comes with 14 count Aida. I'm using 28 count 1/1. And there's my small start. So I will be stitching all of the regular cross stitches 1/1 full cross, and then there's some half stitches and things in the sky that have both 1 and 2 strands. So some of them I'll be stitching with some Gutermann silk to try to, and the back stitching I'll do that way too, so that the you can still have a little bit of a difference in the texture, like 2 strands versus 1 strand. I can't go any lower than 1 strand of DMC with DMC, so I'll try using a different fiber to make it a little bit thinner. Then we have Fantasy Triptych, which is another Teresa Wentzler. And this is one I inherited from my sister-in-law. She had stitched most of the castle, so I stitched some of this forest down at the bottom. I stitched some of the border and some of the maiden. I don't know. I may not have. I don't know. I don't remember if I've worked on this since I showed you last, but we'll see. So here is this one. This is on 25 count, probably antique white, even weave, because the mostly 2/2 for all of the cross stitches, but their faces are charted 1/1. So, and there's some specialty stitches there in the border, and there will be a few beads too. So that's fun. Once I started highlighting the chart, it did go a little bit smoother. But this one has a lot of confetti, and it's easy to like miss stitches because there's just so much going on all the time. Gracious Era is a kit, dimensions gold, that I've had for a little while, and I started this a couple years ago. This is a fun one. It has, you know, the ladies in the fancy dresses. Winter Scene, I'm using the kit everything. So this is the kit fabric, which is 16 count Dove Gray Aida. And it has all the different, a lot of half stitch in the background. I think I started in the middle. I worked my way up the flagpole and then over, I think, I'm not sure. But now I'm working my way back across the top. So that's really fun. There's different thicknesses of half stitches and stuff because they're in the background. And then the foreground, the people will be full crosses and stuff like that. So that's a fun one. And then we have Honeybee, which is one I've kind of stopped working on lately because I don't really have a spot for it anymore. But I'd like to get back to this at some point. The Buttons and Beads kit. I have 2 of these finished, and I'm rotating them in a frame here in my room, but I'd like to have one for every month, so I kind of need to keep working on these. Here is my progress so far on this one. Super pretty. I finished the bee completely except for backstitching the wings because I have to wait till everything else around it is done. I'm filling in the honeycomb and stuff in the background, so this is fun. I do need to get this back out at some point and figure out a spot for it. I was working on this as like a bonus stitching before my regular cross stitching on Mondays for Mill Hill Monday, but I've discovered I'm not good with bonus stitching because I tend to either not do it because I'm afraid I won't have time on my regular pieces, or I stitch too long on it and really don't have time on my regular pieces. So most days I don't have time for 2 different projects in the day. Some days I do, but a lot of days I don't. So I kind of came to the realization that at this season of life, probably shouldn't have a separate piece. So then it kind of cut out that whole section of my rotation for some of those other things that I wanted to kind of chip away at in little bits. But what can you do? Life gets busy. So next was Purple Pansy, and I finished that one. And then Time for Myself by Sew to Stitch is my last one in this category. This is super sweet. I like this one. And I'm working on this on 32 count Whisper linen. Not blue Whisper, but just Whisper. It's like a neutrally gray tan color. And this is where I'm at with her. She's 2/2 full cross. Because of the backstitching, I thought it would be good to keep it. And I think this color worked really well. It matched the cover art pretty well. So her face is done, and I started in on her hair. And at some point, I'll get over to the border as well, but I don't know at what point I'll be close enough to it to have confidence. Maybe when I get her hair all the way down to this chair, then I can hop up and do the top of the border. Eventually. All right, so that's all of that category. So I will go pack up my full coverages, which is my last one to film, even though it will be prior to this in the video. Okay, I'm here, probably my last segment to film today, with my 11 sampler projects. I use sampler loosely. Some of them have sampler in the name. Some of them are a sampler of things, not necessarily. None of them are reproduction samplers. So take the word sampler with a grain of salt. But these are my samplers. I have 11 of them. First one is Keslin's Cross Stitch Fun. And I love this one. I want to get back to it. All sorts of fun things in here. It's a monochromatic sampler, so it is the only one I have that's just one color. But I feel like I chose wisely. It's Coastal Seaweed by Victoria and Motto and Star Sapphire Jobelin, 1/1, 28 count. So I have over halfway done of the top border, and I love the movement and the peacefulness of this one. But yeah, I have more to go to finish the top border. I believe this is the center. So it's not going to be centered on the fabric. It'll maybe be to here. So yeah, that's pretty. I want to get back to that. Then we have my Teresa Winsler English Garden sampler. And this is one I will be taking this scene out. I don't need that kind of confetti in my life, and I'll be moving this part up, which I do enjoy. So at some point, I'll need to do the math to take out a chunk of the border and move this up. So far, I think I'm only in the border, so I haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, I like this part. I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to. Here's this one. This is on a 28 count Ivory Jobelin, 2/2 full cross. And I don't know if I've done anything on this since I filmed my last WIP parade, but I am at the opposite corner. So this one will look a lot like this. This one's done, except for back stitching. So there's a little bit more to go there, but yeah, pretty fun. Teresa Wenslers are intense but beautiful. Then I have the Finery of Nature, which I kind of, it's a sampler of animals, I guess. It may not be a sampler. It could be in other or sampler, but I don't know, I put it in sampler. I'm not planning to stitch this border just because I don't want to. So I'll just stitch these 4 inner motifs, and I think I'm in this one. I think I've done this part right here. I jumped on the bandwagon in February to start this and work on it every first of the month, and then I fell off the bandwagon and haven't worked on it in several months. So this is my start using the called for kit everything 14 count black Aida. And I think I'm doing 2 strands instead of 3 like they called for, and I think it's just fine. I think they said 2 for everything except for the really light colors. But I think I decided to do 2 for everything. Not so there's like white and ivory that they wanted 3 strands, probably for coverage issues. But I'm just gonna do all of them too. It's too hard to remember to change it. And I think it looks fine. So there's that. And I like doing the loop start. Heirloom Nativity Sampler by the Victoria Sampler. This one is close to a finish. I would like to finish this in December of this year, but I don't know if I'll be able to. I'm still working on this scene, and then there's all the hardinger that I've never done before. So I don't know that it's gonna happen. But I may finish the scene this December and maybe call it good and do hardinger next year. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how long the scene takes me and how complicated that hardinger is. So this is 32 count silver linen by MCG Textiles. Same stuff I'm doing my Nantucket Rose on. And I have it completely finished from the top down, including beads, specialty stitches, all the things. So I have that last scene with baby Jesus started, but not finished. So I got to finish that and then do another like line of words and stuff, and then some hardinger. So we'll see. I don't know if that seems like a tall ask. I think I was hoping to get that scene finished last year maybe, but maybe that was always the plan, to try to do both. Because I think I was doing a scene and like all the bands below it the last couple years. So this year I was like, I'll do the scene and the hardinger. So we'll see. Hopefully I can do that. Here's another Victoria sampler, the Heirloom Stitching Sampler. Long and skinny. I'm still up here in this area, but I did work on it a little bit at the retreat in April. Mine is on purple fabric, which is quite purple, but I thought that would be fun. And here is where it is now. The border around the letters is 1/1. So I waited on that. I still have these 2 side borders to do 1/1, but I wanted to do this band at the retreat and kind of get that, see what that would look like. I have silver metallic instead of the gold that's called for because I thought it looked better with my fabric. And the letters are all one color. I think it's Victorian Grays by Victorian Motto, and it's pretty fun how much it changes there. So that's exciting. That'll take me forever to finish because it's really, really long and I'm going really, really slow. But it's fun whenever I pull it out. Yeah, 28 count purple even weave. I don't have a specific color because it was a gift. Then this is another one that's kind of a maybe not a sampler, but I'm calling it a sampler. This is my In the Beginning project that was a kit by Dimensions, I think, or Busilla? Dimensions. And it's a sampler of animals. There's words in it. So I started this when I was in college. So like during my freshman year. So it's been a like 24 years maybe. I'm not done with it yet, but I think this has the potential to be maybe a travel stitch because it's on Aida and it's not that big, but we'll see. I would like to finish this sooner than later because it's so cute. So this is 18 count cream or ivory Aida, and I've finished along the top, I think, and now all of this stuff might be finished. There might be more to it actually. I've stitched it. Maybe there's some back stitching too, I think. I've done some in the peacock not that long ago. So yeah, there's a lot more to go, but this is cute, and I want to do more on that. I think I had grand plans. I started this before I was married, but I had grand plans to have this up with my kids, who are now a lot older than that. That's okay. It's still cute. I like it. I have a Jeanette Douglas, My Story, which is really cute. A sampling of myself is kind of the subtitle of this one. And I have a good amount of this done in this first column. Lots of specialty stitches. I just pulled lots of fancy floss from my own stash. So most of it is, in fact, probably all of it is not called for, but I'm happy with how it's turning out so far. This is on 32 count lamb's wool. And here is where I've gotten to so far. So each band is another specialty stitch, which I enjoy figuring out. And this is still on my needle down here, this blue one. It's like blues and tans or something. So I think, yeah, I don't know if I was debating about the color or if I just ran out of time and stopped, but yeah, that's a cute one. I like that one. I want to pull that one out again at some point. It's a little bit of sparkle here in the waves. And some beads on that one other band. Then we have Tapestry by Ink Circles. And this is one I've converted. It's charted for general arts, but I converted it to most Victorian mottos, mostly from the Eliza Bell Cox sampler pack, but a couple other ones that are like I have Fisherman's Wharf in here, things that I thought fit the pattern a little bit better. And I'm doing this 1/1 28 count even weave. Feels like a Jobelan, like a cream. So that's where that is. I started in the center and worked my way up and then over, so then I can kind of, I don't know if I'll work this way too, so then I'd be purely top down, or if I'll do this quadrant and then this quadrant, you know, we'll see. This is another one that could be a good travel piece as well, because it's fairly simple to work on. And I already have it all, you know, ready to go with the threads in the bag, which is a nice key component of a travel stitch. Then we have the drawn threads, Those Who Sing. I started this a couple years ago, and I'm hoping to finish it next month in October. I have a long way to go. I have like this much left, so that might be a lot more than I can do, but I think the other times I've worked on it, I haven't spent a whole lot of time on it. So I'm hoping if I just spend some dedicated time, it'll go faster. So we'll see. I have about 8 days slotted for it. This is the offcut of the 32 count mushroom slushy that I did my Halloween fairy on, because it's a long and skinny piece, so it was perfect for that leftovers. I did these birds at the retreat, at least this one. So I think it still needs a beak with a specialty stitch. And then I can start working on the tree and all the leaves. So hopefully that will move quickly. That would be great to be able to get that done. And this is another one, I've kind of converted it to my own colors. Some of them might be the same, but I think most of them are different. Similar, but different. And then To Everything Is Season sampler by Needles and Hoops. Got this way back when as well. And I'm using the kit stuff. It came with a even weave. But I've recently acquired, this past calendar year, I acquired this from the Cooler Design Studio. They have a PDF that's called Traditional Sampler that's the same pattern. And because this is by Sandy Orton, who is with the Cooler Design Studio. So I have the PDF in Pattern Keeper now, which a lot of these outside bits have a lot of smattering of color, which made it hard to stitch, and I forget stitches and have to come back and do them. So I'm hoping with Pattern Keeper that will really speed up the process of this border especially. So next time I work on it, I'll be using the Pattern Keeper version, but here is where I'm at now. This is another one that's over 20 years old. It's 28 count even weave that came in the kit, and all the kit flosses. Most of it's 2/2. There's like, this is a Bargello heart, and these are some Bargello stitches. This is like a specialty, like 4-sided stitch. So there's a little bit of specialty stitches in here, but most of it's full cross. And decent start on the basket. The words there at the top are done. So yeah, there's a good amount left on this, but I have a lot started. And I think that border will work better in Pattern Keeper. So that'll be really nice. This one was one that would be nice to work on in the car because it's a kit, but it's too big. It's like I roll horizontally and it's quite large, which kind of takes it out of the running for a quality car project because it's too big. My last one in my sampler category is my Twisted Band Sampler by Northern Expressions Needlework. I have the specialty stitch version. They do have a cross stitch only version, but I love my specialty stitches. And I am stitching this using the called for DMC option. There's like one or like a Dinky Dyes option and maybe one other, but they do offer some DMC choices, and that's what I went with. I do have the called for fabric, which is 32 count bisque by Lakeside Linens. And here is my start. I have 2/2 full cross for the cross stitches and 1 strand for pretty much all the specialty stitches, I think. And I've made it to the other side, the other corner here. So now all the bands are full size until I get to the bottom corner. But yeah, there's like cross stitch, specialty stitch, cross stitch, specialty stitch. Yeah, so there's that one. And I love this. I want to get back to this too. That's all I can film today, I think, but I will come back tomorrow or Thursday and film full coverage and other category and get this put together for you before too long. So did you enjoy that? That was all of my projects, 91 projects on the go at the moment since I had that most recent finish. Super fun to do that. I'm really glad I did that, even though I was hesitant. So many fun, pretty projects. There's not a whole lot that's close to a finish, but I have things that I can focus on, even if I don't finish them next year. I do have more things I would like to start, which is a little silly with all of this bounty, but no doubt I will start a few more things because I like to, and it makes the hobby fun. So I hope you enjoyed that, and just have a wonderful time stitching, and happy stitching. Bye.